And if I get through half of it and y'all recognize it because you didn't turn back in your notebooks and look, then let's stop me because I don't want to go over it twice. But back in pre-algebra, you went over all this stuff. Pre-algebra and Algebra 1. Pre-algebra, did I hit the record button? Pre-algebra, you were told that you wanted to add or combine, whatever you want to call it, x squared plus 2 x, oh sorry, that's wrong, and it's not on eraser, will be by the time, plus 2x squared minus 6. And you were told that, well, to add those two, you got a 1 right here, you got a 1 right here, you distribute whatever's in front, get rid of the parentheses. And the reason I do the ones is because when there's a number there, you'll be used to distributing the number. So that'll be x squared plus 2 plus 2x squared minus 6. And whenever you use the distributive law, what is usually right after the distributive law? Combining what? Like terms. So 1x squared plus 2x squared is what? 3x squared. Thank you, one person. Appreciate that. Plus 2 minus 6 is what? Negative 4. So your answer is 3x squared minus 4. Now, that's too redneck, all right? You need to be more sophisticated. So now I'm going to do f of x is equal to x squared plus 2, and g of x is equal to 2x squared minus 6. And now I'm going to ask you, hold your pinky up, f plus g of x. And what's the answer to your sophisticated f plus g of x? 3x squared minus 4. It's the same thing that you did back in pre-algebra. Okay? Think of it, like, being sophisticated, because that's all it is. A function is nothing but something you plug into. An ice machine. If I give you an ice machine, and instead of hooking it up to the water line, I put a big funnel on the water line, and I pour in 5 gallons of red cherry Kool-Aid. I plug the ice machine in. What's the ice machine going to make? It's not going to make lime ice cubes. It's going to make red cherry ice cubes. If I put 5 gallons of lime Kool-Aid into the ice machine, what's it going to put out? It's going to put out 5 gallons worth of green lime ice cubes. Okay?
So f of x is always the x.
It's the function.
G of x, or
it could be g of x, it could be h of x, it could be q of x, it could be
just y. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
Okay.
Hold your pinky up when you say it, because it's the same thing as y. All right, we'll get to that in just a minute when we do the substitution, which is called composition. Composition is the same thing as substitution. So let's take the same thing and let's subtract. Oh my gosh, I remember my first year of college algebra and they teaching functions. I had no idea what they were teaching. None. I had no idea what they were teaching, because they did not make the transition between doing it this way and doing it this way. First thing they started doing was those stupid things like this. Y'all seen that before? Those should never have been put in a book. All right? You do not start teaching functions with those things, because that will do nothing but what? Confuse the student. All right? You got to make the transition first. It's kind of like going from a tricycle to a what? A bicycle. You don't just throw somebody on a bicycle just as soon as they get to a certain age. They start on the tricycle. And once they start on the tricycle, you move them to a bicycle with training wheels. Then you take the training wheels off. That's the same thing here. You go with the pre-algebra, you make the conversion over to the function, which is the same thing. So, take the subtraction. We do x squared plus 2 minus 2x minus 6. And there's a 1 here, I distribute that 1, and there's a what here? A negative 1, and I distribute there. And I get x squared plus 2 minus 2x squared, minus 2x squared plus what? And what is x squared minus 2x squared? Minus x squared, Hubert. That's right, class. And I just made, I don't know why I did this. Okay, what's plus 2 plus 6?
8.
That's 8. Thank you. So f minus g of x is equal to negative x squared plus 8.
Or x squared.
What?
X squared minus 8. Is that the same?
No, the negative x squared, because x squared minus 2x squared is negative x squared. Because 1 minus 2 is negative 1.
Yeah.
Okay, and in pre-algebra, in algebra 1, what did they say do next? You need to be able to what with polynomials?
Multiply.
You need to be able to multiply. So you went over here in pre-algebra or algebra 1, and you learned how to use the distributive law / FOIL method. Pronounce it however you like. So, Williams on. X plus 3 times x minus 7. And you use the distributive law or the FOIL method, whichever one. And you did x squared minus 7x plus 3x minus 21. And always after you distribute, there's always combined like terms, usually. So that'd be x squared minus 4x minus 21. So over here, you raise your pinky, f times g of x is equal to x squared minus 4x minus 21. And again, you don't have to do anything because you learned how to do it back in algebra. F divided by g of x. Now remember, there's two or three types of division. There's factor division, single term division, long division, and I don't even go over synthetic division because it's restricted. You can't use it all the time. They only teach it to you in high school because they don't want to teach you long division. Okay, long division is the one you need to know, especially in calculus. So, let's take our handy dandy x to the third minus x squared minus x divided by x. And you do your subtraction of what? Exponents. That'd be x squared minus x minus 1. So f divided by g of x, then of course I forgot, we got two different, I changed the formula here. F of x is equal to what on multiplication? What was f of x? X plus, what was it?
3.
X plus 3? And what was the other one? G of x is equal to what?
X minus 7.
X minus what?
7.
X minus 7. Thank you. All right, and here, f of x is equal to x cubed minus x squared minus x, and g of x is equal to x. So f divided by g of x is equal to whatever we got, x squared minus x minus 1. Again, you did it back in algebra. The only difference is you just write it different. Now what about composition? Well, composition is a little bit like substitution. So remember when they did this and they said y is equal to 4x plus 3 and x plus y is equal to 8. What did they tell you to do with this y is equal to 4x plus 3? What do you do with that? You plugged it into y, right? And you get x plus parentheses 4x plus 3 is equal to 8. And now you just do your distributive law. X plus 4x plus 3 is equal to 8. And 5x plus 3 is equal to 8. 5x is equal to 5. And x is equal to what? Okay, so they told you to substitute in something into another equation. Does everybody remember doing that? Miss Whiten, Miss Shuttleworth, y'all remember doing that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what about y'all? Y'all remember doing that? Okay, well, I don't care about you. All right, but you solve for y and you plug in. So y is equal to this. They give you this. They give that and they give this. And then you say, okay, well, since y is equal to 4x minus 3 plus 3, I'm just going to plug this in to this. See what I'm saying? And when you do that, you solve it. Okay? Now, composition. Composition is another word for substitution. Now, it's not exactly the same, but once you get through the actual write-up, it's the same. All right, let me show you what I'm talking about. They're going to give you two functions. And it's going to say f of x is equal to x plus 2. And then g of x is equal to 3x squared. All right, everybody with me? Now, the next two or three things they ask is going to depend on how they're writing it. Okay? The next one, they're going to ask for f composed g of x. Fog. Now, that's not an O. That is an open what? It's an open circle. Discerning from the multiplication symbol that looks like a dot. Okay? When you see an open circle, that means composed. So that means I'm going to take G and I'm going to plug it into what? F. So draw you a little arrow. If you've never seen this before, draw you a little arrow right there. That means you're going to plug G into F. Also, rewrite F with BA parentheses. I'm going to rewrite F with BA parentheses. So what's it going to look like? Well, it's going to look like this. It's going to look like big A parentheses plus what? Plus 2. See where that X is on the F of X? I made it a big set of parentheses. Now what am I going to plug into that big set of parentheses? I'm going to plug G of X into F. And that's going to give me 3x squared plus what? Plus 2. That's all you do. You just plug in and simplify. Now, there's not much you can do with that, so that's why I didn't simplify. Now do the other way, golf. G composed of what? F of x. So that means I'm going to plug in F into what? G. So I'm going to write G with a big set of what? Parentheses. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to write G. 3 parentheses squared. And what am I going to plug into that set of parentheses?
X plus 2.
X plus 2. Thank you. Now, am I finished? Yes or no? No. Why not?
Because you still need to distribute that X plus 2, or you need to...
Now, you used to use shortcut number what? Shortcut number 1, Hubert. A plus B quantity squared is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 4. And that's how fast you should be able to do it. 3 times x squared plus 4x plus 4. Now what? 3x squared plus 12x plus 12. Now I want you to do Gog and Foff. Do G composed, y'all nasty, dirty people. Do G composed of G, Gog, and do F composed of F. Y'all thought I was going to say something else. All right? Gog and Foff. Because that's the only others you can do. So I want you to do Gog, G-O-G, G composed of G, and F composed of F. I'll do them over here. Boring weekend. Nobody did anything. Nobody watched golf. Nobody watched football. Nobody don't talk about anything. So.
Well, I went to the World Equestrian Games this weekend.
Well, good for you. Dang old horses. Did you learn anything?
I did. It was actually really fun and exciting. I thought it was going to be really boring.
Where was it?
It was in Tryon. It's near
I'm surprised it wasn't in Aiken.
No, it was in some big, humongous equestrian center in North Carolina.
Everybody's brother has horses in Aiken, so they're worse than Lebanon above Pendleton. If you live in the Lebanon community, you have to have horses. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. Sense of humor. Oh, anyway. Thank you for the input, Miss Shuttleworth. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Did I watch what? Yeah, we already talked about football. You wasn't here. You were at IHOP or something.
No, I was doing drugs.
Oh, okay. Well, that's wearing Nike stuff. I ain't gonna talk to you.
I can't buy anything in Georgia.
No, I don't want to talk to you. Be quiet. You're gonna fail the class now. All right. So F composed of F. G, yeah, he really has sacrificed. Bless his $7 million heart. Freaking clown. I ain't got no use for it. Anyway, all right, F composed of F. So I'm going to rewrite F with a big set of what?
Parentheses.
And then what am I going to plug into F?
X plus 2.
X plus 2. I'm going to plug F inside of F. And that's going to give me X plus what?
4.
So F composed of F is X plus 4. Now, where do you use this? You're going to use this in calculus. For those of you that move on, you're going to use it in calculus when you're doing compositions. Now, what is compositions? It's just another way of manipulating an equation. Think of something that you do, a process, okay? A process where you can either do this or you can do this, but you still have the same result. For instance, if I change the brakes on my truck, can I use regular pads? Can I use lifetime pads? Can I use heavy duty pads? I can use all three, okay? Not just one answer. And in A Beautiful Mind, what's his name? Russell Crowe gets up in front of the calculus class and he shuts the window. Remember, he shuts the window? Some of y'all have no earthly idea what I'm talking about. But anyway, he shuts the window, and the hot chick, what's her name? Connolly. What's her name? Yeah. She gets up and walks over to the window and opens it up, and she tells the construction people, "Can y'all get the hell out of here? Because we're trying to have class and the air conditioner's not working." And that's all that, but I don't know if it would have worked with the professor, but it worked with her. What did the guys say? What did the workers say? "Oh yeah, we'll get out of here." And they got up and moved. And Russell Crowe said, in multivariable calculus, there is always several approaches to the answer. Okay? That is what I'm trying to tell you. When you're doing compositions, compositions is another way of finding the answer without having to go through one certain direction. Okay? Now, they get into that. We get into that a little bit with the Calculus 2, Calc 1 and Calc 2. In Calculus 2, you actually plug the antiderivatives and the derivatives into formulas. And that's that's practice. This is practice for that. Where you plug a formula or an equation into a formula and you actually crank it out. So that's what you're getting ready to do, and that's why they're teaching you this. Okay? All right, so G composed of G, I'm going to rewrite G with a big set of what? Parentheses, and what am I going to plug into it? 3x squared. And that's going to be 3 times what? 9x to the what? 4th. And what is 3 times 9?
27.
Where is the most common mistake students make here?
The exponents on the x.
Yes. They get 9, and then they square the 9 and get what? 81. Or they don't even square it. They just say 3 times 3 is 9, and then they just leave 9x to the 4th. In other words, they just do 3 times 3, and then but some people do 3 times 3, and then they square the 9. Is the 3 out here squared? No, it's not. So they're just making up their own mathematics doing that. That is all about functions. Now there's one more thing I want to show you that will stump you on test just because it's the way it's written. What was that? Sounded like somebody just took off on a fret of a guitar. Nobody, y'all know what a guitar is, right?
You know me, I gotta get my practice in. That's like.
Yeah, I figured.
What's that guy say?
Who's angry? I don't know. You have to ask him. Why is Pendleton so angry? Why are y'all so angry?
Look at him. It's just body posture is just.
It's because they got to walk up that hill. They have no parking. See, they're jealous of us. That's what they are. See, we get here whenever we want to, and we park in a flat area, and we just walk like 50 steps to the campus. I think that's what it is. Pendleton is angry at Easley, Oconee and Anderson. Is that it? Is that it, Pendleton?
He needs a hug or a cookie.
Yeah. Pendleton.
Not for me personally.
There's just one person I see in that class.
Well, you see the rest of the class right there. They're on porn sites.
It takes up a lot of time.
Nothing. It's just like ice. Nothing. Oh well. Next, here's where you get into some of the things that you get confused about. And back in the day, back in pre-algebra, you were told to find, let's give you a real simple problem. Y is equal to 2x minus 4. Okay? And you were told to graph it. So you were told you would give x to get what? You plug in x to get what? Y. So -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And if you're in my algebra class, those are the 5 that I tell you to do unless you have a fraction. All right? So you plug in the numbers. -2 times x is -4 minus 4 is 0. Negative 1 is negative 2 minus 4. Negative 2 minus 4 is what? Wait a minute, that's negative 6. Sorry. Yeah. Negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8. Sorry. And negative 1, that'd be negative 6. And 0 minus 4 is negative 4. 1 minus 2 minus 4 is negative 2. And 2 times 2 is 0. So we plugged in x to get what?
5.
What if I gave you this? No, you wouldn't. What do I give
You
you?
just plug it in to get X.
Plug it in for what? To get X.
Plug in Y to get X.
Okay, see, you came up with that, and how long has it been since you had algebra? Okay, 100 years. All right. So you knew right then to plug in what? To plug in 12 for Y. So 12 is equal to 4, and negative 10 is equal to what? 7, negative 7. Somebody check my math. So here, you're given Y to get what? All right, so let's transition and hold our pinkies up. F of x is equal to 2x minus 4. And I want you to give me f of 2, and I want you to give me f of x is equal to 12. Okay, somebody tell me what to do. Well, Mr. Bays, you said you knew what to do on the 10 years, 100 years from now. Now what do you do? Be truthful. If you know, don't. If you don't know, don't. Tell me. I mean, if you know, fine. If you don't know, tell me.
You just you distribute it, plug in for the 2.
Okay, the first part, yes, you plug in the 2, so I'm just going to do this. 2 times 4 is what? 8. Oh, 8 minus 4 is 4. Hey, come in. I thought it was 0. I'm sorry. That's supposed to be 2. Yeah, that's right. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So, when you're given f of 2, that's the same thing that you did in pre-algebra, right where? Right there. So what do you think f of x is equal to 12 means? Mr. Bays?
Add X is 4.
Well, let's plug it in. 12 goes in, minus 4, yes. It'd be what? X is equal to 4. This is the same as y is equal to what? Because f of x is a fancy way of writing what? Y. So when you see this on a test or you see it on a homework question, you won't sit there and go, I don't know what that means. And a lot of people have a problem with this one. That's where they have problems on a standardized test. They see that f of x is equal to 4 or f of x is equal to 12, and they just go, what does that mean? And you've got to remember from your pre-algebra, that's setting y equal to what? 12. And y is equal to 12 minus 4, that's 8. So x is equal to what? 4. And it's the same thing that you did back in pre-algebra. So when you have this whole section on composition, basically what is this section on composition? It's a review of what? Algebra 1 with your pinky up. Because that's all you're doing. You're just writing a fancy way of writing your pre-algebra stuff that you learned back in algebra, pre-algebra, and algebra 1. Who's got questions on that? So, now with that being said, let's look at our handy-dandy PowerPoint and let's see if I missed anything. I'll always like to do the PowerPoint, just make sure I haven't missed anything. So let's hit from current slide. And I'll just hit enter. We talked about the different operations. Okay, let f of x is equal to x squared plus 1 and g of x is equal to 3x. All right, go ahead and do this. Now there's 2 ways you can do this. Can somebody tell me the 2 ways you can do these problems? That means I'm asking y'all a question. It's not rhetorical. That means Miss Shuttleworth or Miss Whiten or Anderson Campus try to answer with an answer. How many different ways are there to do these problems? 1, 2, 3? 2. Okay, what are they? There's 2 words. One starts with an A, one starts with an N. A, L, G, E, B.
Is that a word?
Algebraically, you can do the problem.
Man, this is math.
Or one starts with an N or an M. Numerically or mathematically. What the hell is he talking about? I don't know. You can take x squared plus 1 and add it to 3x plus 5 and get an algebraic sentence and then plug in 1. And that's algebraically. What could you do instead of doing it algebraically? Settle down, Pendleton.
I believe you lost us all.
What if I plugged in 1 into x squared plus 1 and plugged in 1 into 3x plus 5 and added those 2 numbers? Would that work?
Yes, that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure. I don't want to say it.
Okay, whatever.
That's embarrassing.
She's high. Miss Shuttleworth's high. All right, so let's try. X squared plus 1, and I'm going to add it to 3x plus 5. And that's going to give me x squared plus 3x plus what? 6. Evaluated at 1. Or what? X, what did it say? 1. Let me erase my arbitrary marks. Evaluated at 1. 1 plus 3 plus 6 is what? Thank you, Mr. Bays, for your interaction. I'll be honest with you. I have never, ever, ever, in 20 years, never had a class that one class would not talk to me at all. I've never had that. And that's the last 4 semesters either with Polycom. I've never had that either. This is the first time.
What is the evaluate line for?
Huh?
What is the evaluate line for?
That means I'm going to plug in 1. I'm going to plug 1 into this equation right here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Now what? Now I'm going to plug in 1, and I'm going to get 1 squared plus 1 plus 3 times 1 plus 5. What's 1 plus 1?
2.
Thank you. What's 3 plus 5?
8.
So I got the same answer. So you can do it algebraically or you can do it numerically, then you still get the same what? You still get the same number. Now you got to be careful with subtraction because that negative will bite you. Okay, so you got to make sure you distribute that negative when you subtract. Because if you don't distribute that negative, you're going to get a different answer than when you plug it in. So go ahead and do f minus g of -3. And however you want to do it. If you want to do it, So I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to do x squared plus 1, what? Minus 3x plus 5. And then the numerical, you'll plug and chug. And I'm just going to, let's see, -3, quantity squared, plus 1, minus, we'll put that in brackets, minus 3 times -3 plus 5. So there's the two ways you can do it. So go ahead and try it. That means I want y'all working. That means pencil and paper. So this will give us x squared x squared, and that's going to give us plus 1, and then minus 3x minus what? 5. So that's going to give us x squared minus 3x. And what's plus 1 minus 5? Minus 4 evaluated at what? Negative 3. So that means parentheses squared minus 3 times parentheses minus 4. I use parentheses when I plug in. I only have several degrees, but I still do it. So, but I know some of y'all don't need it. All right, what's negative 3 quantity squared? 9 plus 9 minus 4. 9 plus 9 is 18 minus 4 is
14.
14. Miss Shuttleworth, what'd you get?
I got 14.
Miss Whiten, what'd you get?
14.
Good job.
Why was the negative 4 at the end not evaluated to?
That's not, that negative 4 is right here. There's no x there. Let me erase. I think you're getting this mixed up. Let me redraw that. Okay. How's that? Shorter line. All right, now let's do the bottom. What is negative 3 quantity squared? 9 plus 1, bracket, negative, bracket. What's 3 times negative 3? Negative 9. Negative 3 times negative 3 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 5 is what? So we got 9 plus 1 is 10. Minus, what's negative 9 plus 5? Negative what?
4.
What's 10 plus 4? It's a miracle. All right, now you try the last two. Try f times g of 5, and then try f divided by g of 0. Yeah, hold your pinky up. You're learning.
I feel fancy.
Yep. Putting on airs. Love that air. Gotta love that air. Pendleton, have y'all you ever watched SpongeBob before?
Mm-mm.
I think I heard one person mumble. What did they mumble? No, yes, no. The rest of them just sit there and
not really.
I thought millennials, everybody watched SpongeBob. I would not let my kids watch Caillou because one, there was something wrong with that kid, and two, it was spoiled brat. So I would not let my children watch Caillou, and I would not let them watch those Teletubbies. Wouldn't let them watch that either. So
Well, I used to love Teletubbies.
you're weird. Who said that? Oh, I thought it was somebody else from Pendleton. It's Miss Shuttleworth. Okay. I thought somebody might have said something.
I think those are figments of your imagination. I think she's the only one.
Is she the only one in there?
Yeah.
So what is it when you see things that are not there? I'm hallucinating.
Right.
It's this stuff in this green bottle is what it is.
Is that vodka?
Yeah. My vodka, my cranberry juice. So there's only one person. There's only Miss Whiten and Miss Shuttleworth. The rest of those people, they're not there. Oh, okay.
I don't even see what you're talking about.
I still can't get them. They still won't say anything. They just sit there.
I think it's
Do y'all do this in y'all's other classes? Okay, the 6, 7 people over there. Do y'all do this to your other classes, or do you just despise me? Which one is it?
I think it's a game.
Yeah, they're not going to say anything. They're not going to say anything. Y'all are not going to say anything, are you? They're just going to look at their porn on their computers. Okay, go ahead. Enjoy the porn. They're not going to talk to me. So that's all right. They'll talk to me eventually. We're in the review section. They'll talk to me eventually. Or they'll go find somebody else to tell them how to do it. All right, so let's take F times G. I'm changing this, but I can't stand writing in red. All right. So x squared plus 1 times 3x plus 5. And I'm going to use my FOIL method. And that's going to give me 3x to the third plus 5x squared plus 3x plus 5. Somebody check my algebra, make sure I did my algebra correctly. And on the bottom, I'm going to take negative or 5 and I'm going to plug it in. So parentheses squared plus 1 times 3 times parentheses. Oops. I hear somebody laughing. Who was that laughing?
Not it.
What, Miss Whiten, Miss Shuttleworth? Was it you?
No.
Oh my gosh! You mean somebody at Pendleton was laughing?
I
am
don't think
hallucinating.
maybe.
3x plus 5. I just wish I knew what I did to piss Pendleton off. I don't know what I've done, but sorry. Nothing. I know what I'm going. You know what I'm going to do Wednesday? I'm going to come in and I'm not going to say a word. We're just going to sit for 30 minutes, or no, for an hour and 30 minutes. Okay, that's what we're going to do.
I'll
We're
just bring
going
my
to
book.
sit for an hour and 30 minutes and not say a word.
Oh boy.
All right, so now over here, if I did my algebra correctly, 3 times parentheses cubed plus 5 times parentheses squared plus 3 times parentheses plus 5. And I'm going to plug in a what? And I'm going to use my handy dandy blue marker and put a 5 there, put a 5 there, put a 5 there. And I've already put a 5 here and a 5 there. So 3 times 125, what's 3 times $1.25? 375, right? So that'd be 375 plus, well, 5 times 5 is 25. What's 5 quarters? 125. Plus 15 plus 5. What's 15 plus 5? Plus 20, that's 125, not $1.25. Oh, I suck. There we go. So 175 plus 125 is 500, right? I got 520. Now let's check it. What's 5 squared?
25.
So that'd be 26. And 3 times 5 is what?
15.
15 plus 5 is what?
20.
What's 20 times 26?
It's 520, Hubert.
It's a miracle. Thank you, Mr.
Woo.
Goolsby. Appreciate your interaction. Equals 520. Question, gripe, complaint. Now you do F divided by G. And the reason I'm covering these twice is because these are standardized test questions. They're also test questions on my test. So that's why I'm covering them twice. I gave you my notes and we're also doing them again because that's why I want to make sure. Whenever you have anything about functions, they're always going to be on a standardized test, whether it be a SAT, a ACT, an entry-level exam, a GRE, or a nursing exam, or whatever. They always put functions on there, always. And the way they write them, people get confused. They know how to do the algebra, but they don't understand what they're asking for because they don't understand the way the context of the sentence. Really, you can't do anything with x squared plus 1 over 3x plus 5. Why can't you? Because you can't divide anything into it, so you can just rewrite it, and it's going to be 0. 0, I'll do this for you, okay? 0 plus 1 is 0, is 1.
Oh.
And 0 plus 5 is what? 5. So I'll do that one for you. And that's how you do functions.
You have a work email.
Huh?
He's outside.
Yeah, he's you know what he said? He's probably fussing at me because I'm seeing I'm hallucinating. So he's probably calling my department head and saying that I'm drinking while I'm teaching. So. All right, there's our answers. Y'all check them. Our first one was 10. Did we get 10?
Yes.
Second one is 14. Did we get 14?
Yes.
Third one's 520.
Yes, sir.
And look, we got all those right. We feel good about ourselves. And that shows you how to graph. I'm not going to show you how to graph. You should. Some of y'all are on the calculator drill team in high school, and you name your calculators, so I'm not worried about that. All right, try this one. This one does not tell you to put in a number. It just tells you to do it. So I want you to give me F plus G, F minus G, and F times G. Simplify accordingly. You're probably not going to have to simplify because you can't simplify because it's a radical. But if y'all want to, we could turn it into a rational and then work with that. No, we better not. Might get Pendleton fired up, and I wouldn't want to get them angry with me. They might not talk to me.
Oof.
8x minus 9 plus the square root of 2x minus 1. That's all you can do. Now, if that was a parenthesis around the 2x minus 1, you'd have something that you could work with. Same thing with minus. 8x minus 9 minus square root of 2x minus 1. Now, what if we did g minus F, would that change anything? Yes, because you would distribute the negative across the 8x minus 1. But we're not asking for G minus F. Is G minus F the same as F minus G? No. Is 2 plus 3 the same as 3 minus 2? No. So you cannot just say, oh, I could distribute that and it'd be the same. No, you couldn't. That would be G minus F. And here would be 8x minus 9 times the square root of 2x minus 1. And that's it. Just put a little dot there to make sure, but you can't do anything with it because you could change this to 1/2 power, but the base is not the same, so you can't add the exponents. So that's your answers there. Now, domains. All right? When you have a domain, which one of these domains is affected? Well, a fraction or a what? A radical. They are affected. So, F. Well, the domain of F is, wait a minute. Oh, this is a continuation. I'm sorry. Let's, okay, I just use this right here. Okay. Give the domain, let's see, what do they want right here? Oh, we did D, didn't we? Oh, that's division. That's nothing. All right, now, give the domains of F. All right, first of all, let's write F down. F of X, and this is important, so you might want to write it down for those that are playing on your computer. All right, F of X is equal to 8x minus 9. G of X is equal to the square root of 2x minus 1. Now, what did I tell you? If a variable has the first power, the second power, the third power, the fourth power, the fifth power, the sixth power, the seventh power, if it just keeps going, then what is the domain? All real numbers, yes, because nothing affects it. You can plug in -5, you can plug in 1/2, you can plug in -3/4, you can plug in 101, you can plug in anything you want to unless it's a radical or what? A rational. So what is this? This is a radical, so you have to set the radicand equal to 0. 2x minus 1. Hold on, let me get the arbitrary marks off the board. 2x minus 1 is equal to what? 0. Therefore, 2x is equal to what? 1x cannot equal what? 1/2. Well, it can equal 1/2. I'm sorry. But we're going to have to figure out what it cannot equal. All right? What happens when you plug in 1/2 into that 2x minus 1? You get what?
0.
0. So find out what will give you a negative. Well, what's less than 1/2? 0. So let's plug in 0. 0 minus 1 is a negative. Okay, let's plug in -1. -1 will be -2 minus 3. So we cannot use numbers that are less than what? Less than 1/2. So x such that x cannot be, that's the domain. So we have to use all numbers greater than or equal to what? 1. So that's the domain of g of x. The domain of g of x is x greater than 1. You could say from 1/2 to what? Positive infinity. That's the domain. This 4. So x greater than or equal to 1 or, I'm sorry, 1/2. There. 1/2 or 1/2 to infinity. Okay, what about f plus g? Well, F plus G would be the same thing because you cannot have a what? A radical in the denominator. What about F minus G? I mean, under the radical. You can't have a negative in the radical. F times G. F times G. You can't have the... So all those are going to be the same. So this is going to be this one right here. I'll put a star here. G of X. Right here. Right here. Right here. And right here, and right here, because what's in the denominator? That's square root. And you can't have the square root of a negative, it'll blow the function up. If you don't believe me, type in the square root of negative 2. What does your calculator do? It gives you pronounce it two different ways, E-R-R-O-R. Okay? It gives you that word. Pronounce it however you'd like. How do you pronounce E-R-R-O-R? Error or error?
Error.
Error.
Error. O-I-L.
Oh.
There you go. See? You cannot, you have to have 1/2 to infinity. That's where I had 1/2 to infinity, wherever I had it, right here. Same thing for the others. 1/2 to infinity. You got to be careful. When it's a radical or a rational, you've got to check the domains. You've got to. Okay, now this is another example of how they can put something on a standardized test and you know the material, but the way it's written, you don't have a clue what they're asking for. So what do you do on number A? Yeah, I said number A. I know I said number A. I got a degree, all my teeth in my head, and I have running water at home too. All right. What does number A say? F plus 4, F plus G of 4. So what does that mean? X is equal to what?
4.
X is equal to 4. See the 4? Okay.
Oh.
So that's what I'm going to do right here. I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to draw a black line. Is it okay if I say black line? That means neutral. Is that okay?
Racist.
Okay, I know, I'm a racist. And I got blue and I got red. All right? Blue, F of 4, X is equal to 4, is 9. So 4 is equal to 9. And what's my other one? Red? F of 4 is equal to what? 2. Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
What does this 4 mean in parentheses? It means I'm plugging X is equal to what? Into 4. Now I don't have my algebraic functions. I don't have F of X is equal to this. I don't have G of X. It's all on the graph. So what's 9? What's 9 plus 2?
Layup.
Thank you, one person. 9 plus 2 is equal to 11. All right, now you do the next one. So negative 2. So it's going to be our blue is going to be F of 2. 1, 2, 3. So F of 2 is 3. F of negative 2 is 3. What is G of negative 2? There's not one. So why do you say not one? How do you say not one in math? 0, Hubert. So that would be 3. So your answer there is 3. F times G of 1. So what is 1? What's 1 on the blue line? 3. And what's 1 on the red line?
1.
And what's 3 times 1?
3.
3. And then F at 0. So blue line at 0 is what? 1. 0 is what? Red is what? 0, 0. So divide by 0, you get what? Undefined. So that should be your answers. This is nothing but 100% reading the graph. We got 11 for number 1. Y'all have to look and tell me what I got for number 2. Okay, did we get that? Undefined? Well, it's undefined. I don't know if they're going to get undefined. Okay, they get undefined. They didn't use 0. So change that 0 to undefined. All right, what about this one? What did we get? I got 3. They didn't give you the formulas, did they? Well, they might have. I don't know. I didn't see them. But there's the answer. What do we get for C? Okay, thank y'all. And undefined. Okay. I need you to write this down. I don't know. I'm going to ask Miss Shuttleworth. Miss Shuttleworth, what's your plans math-wise? Are you going into calculus later?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Miss Whiten, are you?
I don't know.
What's your matrix going to be in the future?
Well, see, I'm only going to school for 2 years because I just need an associate's degree. So do I need a major?
No, not necessarily if you get an associate in science. But if you're associate in science or associate in arts? Or what's your degree in 2-year degree?
It's just radiological technology.
Oh, okay. Then you're not going. How about Mr. Bays? Are you going on to calculus?
Hell no.
Any of y'all? Okay. Well, this is your first unit test right here in calculus. All right. So you might want to write it down. And for those people that don't want to communicate with me, you might want to write this down if you're going to calculus, because this is your first unit test. Difference quotient. There's a whole unit on the difference quotient. What is the difference quotient? It's down at the bottom. F of x plus h minus f of x is equal to h. Now somebody tell me, looking at those 2 points on that graph, what are we actually finding? Not the arc, but that's a good guess. Which way do we read?
Left to right.
So this is x of 1, y sub 1, and this is what? X of 2, y sub 2. X of 2, y sub 2, x of 1, y sub 1. Okay, let's put that in a y sub 2, the what? Is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. You're finding the slope of the secant line. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of look into calculus here, okay? You got to think out of the box. I'm going to show you this because some of y'all are heading toward it. M is equal to parentheses minus parentheses over parentheses minus parentheses. Again, I use parentheses when I'm plugging in, but I've only got 3 degrees. Some of y'all don't need it. Y sub 2. What is my y sub 2? want y'all to tell me.
X plus H.
F of what? X plus H. F of X plus H. All right, what's my Y sub 1? What's my X sub 2?
X plus H.
What's my X sub 1? M is equal to F of X plus H minus F of X. And what happens to the X's here? So what is the difference quotient finding? The slope. So write down equals the slope. Redneck disorder. Pinky. You learn the slope year after year after year. Delta y over delta x. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. That's not good enough anymore. You got to hold your pinky up, and you got to use the difference quotient. Now, this is the insight on calculus. In calculus, you have to think out of the box. What I mean by out of the box? Well, if I take a half a step toward that wall, take a full stride toward that wall right over there, and then each step I take after that, I take half of the previous step, and half of the previous step, and half the previous step, and half the previous step, and half the previous step. Will I ever reach the wall? No. All right, that's thinking out of the box. If I bring this point down this way, I'm bringing this down this way, right? If I come down this way, and slowly my secant line turns into what? Anybody want to take a guess? The secant is on the inside of the arc. What is the line that it forms right down here? When it gets down here, right next to this point. How'd you know that? The tangent line.
I know why I know some things.
Okay. The tangent line. Now, that opens up the whole world of calculus and physics. Okay? Finding the tangent line on a curve is all of your physics and your calculus 1, 2, and 3. If you can't find the tangent vector, you can't find the normal vector. If you can't find the normal vector, you can't find the velocity. So you have to have the tangent vector before you can find all that other stuff. Okay? Pretty good for educated redneck, isn't it? All right, so that's why you need to learn this. And you're going to be using substitution on that. You're going to be using, composition. Because wherever there's an x, what are you going to plug in? X plus h. And this is where the fun starts. If they give us some good problems. They give us some daggum Mickey Mouse problems that ain't going to. All right, take that one. Plug it into the difference quotient. Go ahead, hurry up. Because usually what happens when I say plug it into the difference quotient, a lot of people just sit there and say, well, what the hell are we supposed to do? Anybody feel that way? They're not going to talk to me anyway. F of x plus h minus f of x over h. Now what does this mean? Wherever there's an x, I'm going to plug in what? A big set of parentheses. Yeah. Hold on, let me get rid of my arbitrary lines. I know what's happening. My left hand is getting in the way of the right hand, and that's what's happening. So I got to hold my hand back behind my back. All right, so parentheses squared minus x squared, which is f of x, over h. And what am I going to plug in right here? X plus h, Hubert. Oh my gosh, there's shortcut number 1. Go to it. X squared plus 2xh plus h squared. And go ahead and simplify. How many of you took pre-cal or calculus in high school? Anybody? Okay, I'm going to repeat that. I want at least a yes or no. How many of you took pre-cal or calculus in high school?
I took pre-cal.
Okay, Ms. Shuttleworth?
I didn't take pre-calculus or anything, no sir.
Okay. How about the guy next to you?
I took pre-cal.
Okay, let's go around the Pendleton campus. Who's next?
I took pre-cal.
Okay, who's next?
Yeah, I took pre-cal.
Who's next?
I also took pre-cal.
Okay, next.
I didn't.
You didn't? Okay, next.
I don't remember. I honestly have no clue.
I'm the same way. All I remember in high school is football. That's the only thing I remember. I don't remember anything else. I don't even remember who my teachers were. Okay, next.
I took pre-cal.
Okay. None? You took pre-cal? None? None? None?
Those are called pre-calc/trig.
Okay.
I don't know if that's
All right, let me ask you this. If I was to ask somebody to tell me what the derivative of 2x was, those pre-cal people, would you be able to tell me what x squared, the derivative of x squared is? Anybody?
no,
Okay.
because I have no idea.
Okay. Well, I'm going to finish this and then we'll get to it. I need y'all to write in your notes, Anderson campus, that we're going to start from this Wednesday because this is very, very, very important. I'm sorry. How did I go back? Because if we don't get this under our belt right now, y'all are going to be in trouble. All right. So x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus x squared over h. And what happens to the x squareds? Is that supposed to happen? Yes. You're supposed to be left with nothing but h terms. Write that down. When you cancel, you're supposed to have nothing but h terms because h goes to 0 on your graph. What does h go to? If you're here and I'm going down, what's this h doing? It's going to 0. That distance is going to be 0. What is my feet doing halfway to the wall, halfway to the wall, halfway to the wall, halfway to the wall? What is my feet doing? It's getting closer to 0. You're converging onto 0. So I get 2x, I'm going to factor out a h, and I get 2x plus h over h. What happens to the h's? They cancel, and I get 2x plus h. Now, that's your answer. But I'm going to throw in this for you. The limit as h approaches 0. As h approaches 0, what happens to 2x plus h? It turns into 2x because the h goes to 0. Now we're going to learn that in calculus. That's the whole unit. The whole unit, the first unit, okay, besides review of algebra, is on this right here. Okay? What is the derivative of x squared? 2x. So they show you how to get the derivative before they show you how to do the derivative. They show you how to get it by hand. Now, the only thing you need to know is this. This is the answer to the question. I'm just showing you this because you're going to spend half your first unit, you're going to spend half your first unit of calculus on what we're doing now, the whole semester. Then you're going to spend the second half of your first unit on this guy right here.
But if you're not taking calculus, all
Then you
you're
just
doing is
quit and leave.
confusing the shit out of me.
Yeah, I'm trying to confuse you. Yeah. No, you just need to learn how to get to 2x plus h. Okay, how are we feeling, guys? All right, we're on 2.6, so everybody should be on 2.6. Homework. Get to work on it. We'll start from this Wednesday, okay? Y'all settle down.
Alrighty.